There is a specific type of person who remembers the silence of a house before the internet arrived. These are the people who know exactly what it felt like to wait by a payphone at a specific time because there was no other way to confirm a meeting. You are not a baby boomer, you are not a millennial, and you are certainly not a member of Generation Z. If you were born between 1976 and 1985, psychologists and sociologists have spent years trying to categorize your unique mental makeup. You are a Xennial, a micro-generation that exists in the seam where one version of human history was stitched into a completely different one. As we already know, most people get to live in one world, but you were given the bridge. In this video, we are going to decode the Xennial paradox and explain why your brain is built differently than any other generation in history. The first and most important reason you feel different is the unique digital transition window. Research in neuroscience confirms that the human brain continues to actively develop its cognitive systems until around age 25. For those born between 1976 and 1985, the entire digital revolution hit exactly inside that window. You are old enough to remember the physical cost of information. You remember spending hours in libraries, hunting through paper card catalogs. You remember the way your heart skipped a beat when you tried to record a favorite song from the radio onto a cassette tape, hoping the radio host would not start talking at the most critical moment. But at the same time, you were young enough when the internet arrived that your brain was still plastic enough to adopt the digital world as a second native language. While older generations learned the computer like a difficult foreign subject, and younger generations treat it like the air they breathe. You are the only ones who hold both of these memories simultaneously. You understand the value of being completely unreachable, yet you feel like a fish in water in the world of neural networks and cloud technologies. Let us perform a small psychological test right now to check your connection to this era. If you remember the sound of a connecting modem, or the exact feeling of putting tape over the little tab on a VHS cassette so you could record a new movie over an old one, write the word "remember" in the comments. This simple action activates your neural pathways linked to long-term memory, and it will help us see how many representatives of this unique generation are here with us today. The second pillar of the Xennial paradox is the formation of identity in the absence of a digital footprint. Before 1995, your mistakes were ephemeral and local. That awkward phrase you said at a party, or that strange choice of clothes in 9th grade, lived only in the memories of a few witnesses. No one archived your failures, no one took screenshots, and no one turned your growing pains into a permanent digital record. Psychologically, this created a foundation of inner security that is almost impossible to find today. You learn to judge yourself by your own internal standards, because in your time, there was no public scoreboard of likes and views dictating how you should feel every minute. You have a highly developed internal locus of evaluation. As we already know, this means your opinion of yourself carries much more weight than the opinion of 1,000 strangers on the internet. This made you mentally resilient to modern cancel culture and social pressure. Let us dive deeper into the psychology of your childhood. You were the last generation that grew up with the concept of go play outside until it gets dark. Psychologists call this unsupervised play. You had no mobile phones and no tracking systems. If a problem happened on the street, you had to solve it yourself, negotiate with other children, or find a way out of the situation without calling your parents. This formed a very high level of autonomy and problem-solving skills in your brain. While modern employees often freeze if a task instruction is not detailed enough, a Xennial simply figures it out. Your creativity was born from boredom. Remember that feeling when there were only 3 channels on the television and nothing interesting was on while it was raining outside? You invented worlds, you built forts out of pillows, you read books from cover to cover. This ability to endure boredom and turn it into creation is your hidden cognitive gift. Now let us move to the most intriguing section, the Xennial parenting paradox. As we already know, you are raising your children while living in a state of constant internal conflict. On one hand, you want to give them the same freedom and autonomy you had. On the other hand, you are the first generation that fully understands the dangers of the digital world. You know how easy it is to destroy a reputation with one post. You know how the algorithms designed for addiction work. This makes you the most conscious parents in history. You are trying to create a hybrid world for your children, a place where there is room for both climbing trees and learning how to code. You are the parents who take the phones away at night, but you are also the ones who can help your child set up a server in a popular game. You teach them to protect their privacy because you know the true price of anonymity. However, the Xennial paradox has a shadow side, something economists and sociologists call the long-term scarring effect. Your entry into adult life coincided with a series of global upheavals. You were just getting your degrees and renting your first apartments when the dot-com bubble burst in the early 2000s. Then, just as you were starting to build careers and families, the 2008 financial crisis hit the world. This formed a specific economic psychology in Xennials. This is the reason your emergency fund never feels safe enough. This is the reason you always have a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D. This is not paranoia. It is the biological response of a brain that saw the old world collapse twice before you reached 35. This hardening made you the best crisis managers of modern times. This is exactly why you became the natural translators in modern companies. You are the ones who understand the hierarchy and discipline of older executives, but you also share the desire for freedom and flexibility of Generation Z. You absorb the friction between these worlds, often acting as mediators. Psychologists call this invisible emotional labor. If you feel an unexplained emptiness at the end of a workday, know that it is the price of holding the semantic seam between two eras together for everyone else. You understand why it is important to show up to a meeting on time, but you also understand why a message in a chat at 10 p.m. is a violation of boundaries. Let us discuss another aspect of your paradox: cynicism as a defense mechanism. Your youth was spent to the soundtrack of grunge culture and 1980s irony. Unlike the optimistic boomers or the earnest millennials, Xennials often use dark humor and sarcasm as a way to cope with the absurdity of reality. Your ability to laugh at problems instead of falling into depression is a powerful tool for psychological relief. As we already know, people with a developed sense of irony are less prone to burnout because they know how to distance themselves from stressful situations. As we already know, Xennials also have a unique relationship with privacy. You grew up in an era when being invisible meant being safe. You can manage the most complex technologies, but you feel no need to publish photos of every step you take. You value control over your private life because you remember what it felt like when your life truly belonged only to you. This gives you an advantage in emotional intelligence. Your happiness does not require external validation. You do not need to be seen to feel significant, and that is the highest form of self-confidence. Your brain also possesses a rare ability for deep concentration. Modern generations often suffer from fragmented attention. Their dopamine system is tuned for instant results. But you manage to form the habit of long waiting. You could wait a week to see one episode of a favorite movie. You waited months for a response to a paper letter. This patience has turned into your cognitive endurance. You are capable of sitting with one task for hours without being distracted by notifications. Because your brain knows that valuable things take time. You are the ones who can read a long article to the end or watch a 2-hour documentary without checking your phone every 5 minutes. A special place in your psychology is occupied by the theme of friendship. Your social connections were formed offline. To meet a friend, you had to go to their house without warning or call a landline and talk to their parents. This taught you how to handle social discomfort and build deep, trusting relationships based on real presence, not on an exchange of emojis. For a Xennial, friendship is not about the number of contacts in a list. It is about the people you can call at 3 a.m, and they will not ask why. They will simply ask where to go. Ultimately, being a Xennial means carrying the code of 2 civilizations. You are the last people on the planet who know how to be alone with your thoughts without a smartphone in your hand. You are living archives of analog wisdom in a vast digital ocean. Your ability to adapt, your economic resilience, and your right to privacy make you the most prepared people for the future that is coming. You are the ones who will teach the next generations the balance between technology and humanity. If you recognize yourself in these lines, if you remember the smell of paper phone books and simultaneously feel confident using artificial intelligence, then you possess a power that cannot be taught. You saw one world end and another begin. You did not just survive this transition, you became its main support. Remember this strength the next time the world around you seems to move too fast. You are the very anchor that keeps this world from chaos. You are Xennials, and your paradox is your greatest advantage. As we already know, it is at the junction of 2 worlds that the strongest personalities are born. And you are the best proof of that.